Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Karin Helmstedt.
Hi there, and a warm welcome to our highlights edition, which this time around includes the following top stories. Stunning subway. A photographer shoots Stockholm's underground system. Wonderful Wales, the Welsh countryside, is filmed from the air. And Emperor Imposter, a French lawyer, plays Napoleon on the weekends. When tourists visit major cities here in Europe, they're usually on the surface of streets and the like and not underneath it. And that's maybe a bit of a shame because they could be missing out on some amazing underground sites that have been built into the subway stations and networks. In fact, in many cities, there's a whole world to be discovered down there, and we met one photographer who's brought that into focus.
To some, subway stations in the Swedish capital Stockholm resemble caves. Amateur photographer Alexander Dragunov says they're among the most unusual he's ever seen. And he should know. He takes pictures of the underground in cities all over the world.
You can go to subway and feel alone, hear your own voice, the echoes, so it's just a feeling of a place which I like. And also because it's empty, it's quite easy to take pictures inside. So no one disturbs you, you can do what you want, you can find any angle you want.
The 35-year-old photographer, born in St. Petersburg, sets off in the evening when most people have gone home. Subway pictures are his passion, but not his profession. During the day, he works as a programmer. While photography might not help him pay the bills, it has earned him a cult following online. Many photography enthusiasts are attracted to his work on photo-sharing platforms like Instagram and Flickr. Another who gets noticed is the London-based Miss Underground. She's got almost 35,000 followers online. She takes pictures of the London Underground with her smartphone. Among the images on her page are some snaps of the Munich Underground in southern Germany. The city's subway stations are popular photographic motifs. The palatial underground stations in the Russian capital Moscow also attract photographers from around the world. And Alexander Dragunov's work has inspired many people to take their own snaps of the Stockholm Underground.
We're doing pictures of Stockholm, of subway, but we're doing it with their own eyes, with their own vision. And for me, it's very interesting to look at their pictures as well, to see how someone else can see the Stockholm subway.
Alexander gets out at the Rådhuset stop. It's one of several stations whose granite foundations have been covered in concrete, giving the surroundings a cave-like feel. Stations like these are mostly found on the Blue Line, which dates back to the 1970s. Alexander says he can only capture the perfect picture when there are no people around, and the chances of that are best at night. Still, he often ends up waiting for people to disperse, and that can be quite uncomfortable, particularly when he's squatting down.
It's painful, I can walk a bit, wait a bit, but still. What I have to do is just to push the button. So, everything is set up, just waiting, and now I can do it.
Most of Stockholm's subway stations contain sculptures, murals, and art installations. The city's transport authorities describe the underground as the world's longest art gallery. While the artworks do feature in his photography, Dragunov focuses more on lines and symmetry. He spent a year working on his Stockholm photography project and has compiled a book out of his best images. It's called Tunnelbana. When it comes to capturing the perfect image, it's all about detail. In fact, he's a bit of a perfectionist.
It was quite long learning curve, I mean, how to make these pictures. I changed a lot of cameras, I mean, I changed lenses, and because finally I realized that, okay, in order to make best pictures, you have to use as wide lens as possible.
Justa is his last stop of the night. It might not be a money-making business, but Dragunov is proud of the large following he's garnered online. His photographs are among the first search results that appear when you Google Stockholm Metro. For him, that's enough recognition.
There is some beauty hidden underground. And I mean, now a lot of people know about that. And when we're visiting Stockholm, we're not going to some museums, walking on the streets, but we're also going to subway.
Now that he's completed his Stockholm photography project, Alexander Dragunov is keen to begin taking photographs in other cities. Munich and London are at the top of his list. The subway stations there have something entirely different to offer.
Well, many of us studied his plays and poems when we were in school, and on each rereading, the older you get, the greater his brilliance. That is the beauty of William Shakespeare, also known as Britain's bard and widely regarded as the world's greatest dramatist. Now, his plays and poems are timeless and have been translated into every major language. And this year, for the 450th anniversary of his birth, his hometown gets to play a starring role.
Cheers indeed. The town of Stratford-upon-Avon is celebrating its most famous son, and thousands of visitors are taking part. Even 450 years after Shakespeare's birth, his verses are in common usage.
What's a famous Shakespeare be or not to be? Yeah, to be honest,
O Lord, methought what pain it was to drown, what dreadful noise of water within mine ears, what awful sights of death within mine eyes.
My horse, my kingdom for a horse.
As long as men can breathe and eyes can see.
Stratford-upon-Avon looks as it did when Shakespeare wrote his dramas. Little is known about his life except he was baptized as the offspring of an ordinary but well-to-do family. He spent his childhood and youth here before he became a poet and playwright, the best the world has ever seen, in the opinion of many. Gregory Doran is one of them. He's the director of the famous Royal Shakespeare Company.
His popularity is partly the stories he tells, and I think very young children can be grabbed by stories of fairies and shipwrecks and ghosts and battles and witches. And then later, as they grow through life, they become interested in Shakespeare for his psychological insights or his political, the politics of the plays, if you like.
The ensemble has existed for more than 50 years. After London, Stratford is where it plays most often. Famous British actors like Judi Dench, Ralph Fiennes, and Ben Kingsley have played roles in its productions. At the birthday celebration, ensemble members show visitors some of the tricks of the acting trade. For example, how do you stage a fight? One actor slaps his hand, the other ducks away. Life, death, and love, Shakespeare's eternal themes.
He doesn't judge. He presents us in all our human frailty, and he doesn't take sides. It shows a huge panorama of society. And I think that's his extraordinary power, that he makes you decide. He makes you put yourself into the picture.
God save the king, although I be not he.
Some dispute that Shakespeare wrote all of his 154 sonnets and 38 dramas.
I think it is an attitude that's based on snobbery, I'm afraid, that a simple ordinary grammar school boy from here in the West Midlands of England, from Warwickshire, from a simple country market town like Stratford-upon-Avon, that somebody like that could have the scale of reference and the humanity and the compassion to write a play. I don't really care who she, he, or they were who wrote Shakespeare, because we have Shakespeare.
The people here in Stratford see things the same way. They celebrate the Bard, whose life and work have lost none of their fascination. And they really get into it.
Well, just look. How many people are here today to celebrate his 450th birthday? So we needn't say anything really. He is popular the world over.
We get to still get taught in the same room as he got taught in. So.
Yeah, he was very famous in China.
It's fantastic. It's nice to see people come from all over the world to visit our little town. They enjoy themselves.
The birthday procession ends here at Holy Trinity Church, where Shakespeare's grave is located. Shakespeare died in Stratford, supposedly on his 52nd birthday. But whether that's true remains, like so much about Shakespeare, in the realm of legend.
Well, it's not even 6 weeks to go until the 2014 Soccer World Cup kicks off in Brazil, and needless to say, things are in high gear as all the European teams get ready to travel later on this month. Well, Holger Stromberg is also packing his kit. Now, he's not a player per se, but rather a gourmet chef, and he'll be responsible for making sure the German team gets its breakfast, lunch and dinner of champions every day during the tournament. And because a power-packed athlete's menu could benefit all of us, well, he's even put some of his best recipes into this national team cookbook.
A top chef warming up for the World Cup. In a few weeks, Holger Stromberg will be accompanying the German soccer team to Brazil. Although football is certainly not what he does best.
I'm a big fan of football, sure, but I'm a very bad football player. I'm from a different discipline, the kitchen. That's something I can do. In cooking, I reckon I could make the national team.
He compiles a strict nutrition plan for the players. Today he'll be putting lots of whole grain foods on the table, and lots of vegetables. But to score with salad with all the players, he needs a winning strategy. This concoction has a special sweet and sour marinade.
It's all crispy, fresh, and very colorful. The players really like it. So this is how I make eating vegetables interesting.
Stromberg has published his 60 best tournament recipes in a cookbook. If it were up to him, everyone would follow the athlete's diet.
Herbs are there to be eaten, not to be placed on windowsills as decoration. If that's what you want, it's better to buy a cactus because it lasts longer and needs very little care. It's best to buy herbs in fresh bundles and use them a lot.
A bit of chopping and tossing, and voila! Midfield maestro Mesut Özil's favorite food. But just before a match, a proven classic replaces the greens.
Franz Beckenbauer probably ate this when he was an active player. Spaghetti bolognese. You can sprinkle Parmesan cheese or olive oil on it.
23 players in the squad means 23 different favorite dishes. Seafood salad for goalkeeper Manuel Neuer. Defender Per Mertesacker loves tomato soup. Striker Lukas Podolski is partial to cauliflower. These players have become gourmets in their own right.
That's why it's so much fun to cook for the team. They've all developed very sophisticated palates, and that's important. I don't aim to make them gourmets, but they should judge food by its quality. It has to be calorific and have a proper natural taste.
Nach korrekten, natürlichen Geschmack. He's already been to Brazil to find the best foods available in all the cities that the German team will be playing in. That's because he can't take his ingredients with him.
Since then, I've been sniffing around like a truffle hog. Thank goodness you can do that today via the internet, the telephone, and everything in order to get the very best. This is my mini World Cup. I want to do my best for the team, and that has nothing to do with lobster or crayfish. I want to make simple things of the best quality, and that's not so simple in Brazil.
Stromberg has already cooked for the German team at 3 major tournaments, like here at the European Championship in 2012, hosted by Poland and Ukraine. He does everything from preparing the squad's breakfast to snacks and refreshments for the dressing rooms. It's not unusual for him to work 20-hour days. The chef has been part of the team's official support staff for 7 years. He also runs 2 restaurants, in Munich and in the Ruhr region. And he owns a chain of snack bars. Though once a winner of a Michelin star, he's not averse to fast food.
You can't serve it before a match, otherwise they'd think we're on vacation. It's a kind of reward, and the coach sees it that way too. He supports it, and sometimes even orders it. If the game went well, he'll say, "Holger, tomorrow is barbecue day." And then we set up the grills, and then they've really earned it.
It's time now for Holger Stromberg to muster his strength before the German national team travels to their training camp in northern Italy in 2 weeks. The chef hopes his dishes will fuel the squad to new heights and help fulfill their dream of becoming 2014 World Cup champions.
Well, it's certainly no secret that Wales is a beautiful country, but you can get an unparalleled view when you're up in the air. And that's exactly what one entrepreneurial tour guide has been doing by taking tourists up above the landscape to show off the beauty of his home.
Few can resist the beauty of Wales. Its hills and cliffs, rivers and lakes and coastline draw scores of hikers and surfers every year. Dan Steptoe spends most of his time admiring the landscape from the air. At 23, he's already been flying tourists above northern Wales for 4 years.
You can see the scenery. We've got the mountains one side, we've got the sea, we've got the beautiful coastline, we've got the Menai Straits, this is what separates Anglesey and the mainland itself. It's just a beautiful place to fly, really. I mean, when the weather's good like this, it's perfect.
And the country is also famous for its castles, all 641 of them. Carnarvon Castle is one of the most impressive. King Edward I of England started building it in 1283 for the English. Just down the road in Llanberis is a Welsh castle.
This castle was built in 1220 by the Welsh to keep the English out of Wales. There's a battle that's still going on to this day between the English and Welsh, but thankfully now it's on the rugby field.
Mike Thomas often comes here before work. The train conductor accompanies tourists on the Snowdon Mountain Railway, Britain's only rack and pinion railway. The ride to the top takes 40 minutes. With an elevation of 1,085 metres, Mount Snowdon is the highest mountain in Wales.
For me, it's just a special place. I mean, to come up here in the mountains, to see a different view every day. There's always something new to see on the railway.
And there's plenty new to see from the cockpit as well. The region is popular with climbers, and ambitious ones too. The New Zealander Edmund Hillary trained here before attempting Mount Everest, whose summit he reached in 1953. Just Just a few minutes away is Anglesey Island, which has been connected to the mainland by the Menai Suspension Bridge since 1826. You can take a train to this place, but its name's almost impossible to pronounce unless you're a local. In English, that's St Mary's Church in the hollow of the White Hazel, near the fierce whirlpool, and the Church of Tisilio by the Red Cave. Megalithic monuments bear witness to the island's rich past. Bryn Cellyddi is a prehistoric site that's believed by some to mark the summer solstice. Dan Steptoe goes up in the air several times a day.
That's all I've ever wanted to do since I was a baby. I've always wanted to fly, so doing it now is perfect.
He takes in the scenery once again before returning to the airfield, where another group of tourists awaits him.
Well, finally, he's one of the most fiery leaders in European history, Napoleon Bonaparte, the first emperor of France, a national hero, international enemy, and a commander who helped to set up democracy, but with an iron hand. Well, so not much wonder that anyone who slips into his skin can have a whale of a time reenacting all of his pursuits. Frank Sampson does just that, and we went to meet France's most popular Bonaparte double.
The Palace of Fontainebleau, 70 kilometers to the south of Paris, is a magnet for visitors. They're all here to see him, Napoleon Bonaparte. At the moment, hardly a weekend goes by without another parade in honor of the late French emperor. But then 2014 is the 200th anniversary of his abdication. Frank Sampson is a Parisian lawyer. He's also the most popular Napoleon double the country has ever seen, and a star in his own right. And is he ever busy? Just a few hours earlier, everyone was getting ready for the big event. 475 actors will take part. Frank Sampson has withdrawn to the rear chamber to get ready. Wearing a wig, he looks remarkably like the former emperor. Even his height of 1.71 meters is almost the same.
I'm no longer a lawyer, but am Napoleon Bonaparte in the service of France. That is my guard's uniform, which I wear a lot. I think it's beautiful. That's why I wear it.
Proceedings kick off with a visit to the troops. It's important for the 46-year-old to show his face and to exchange greetings with his generals. Wherever he goes, he's accompanied by his bodyguards. One is his son.
My father has always been fascinated by Napoleon. He's always showing us his books, and we go to the museums a lot. Napoleon is a part of him, and he's also a part of our lives.
The cavalry has come to collect Napoleon. But it seems the emperor is lacking something of his old authority. They've forgotten his horse.
I need a horse. I'm going to security.
He sets off on foot. A few minutes later, he finds what he's looking for. Now, all he has to do is saddle up. But even that doesn't faze him. Events like this are worth every bit of effort. His wife, Delphine, is at his side, playing the part of Empress. The entire family is involved. That's also why Frank Sampson is growing ever closer to his role.
I've been on the French throne for more than 10 years. It's my job.
Frank Sampson leaves the role next year. He's taking his lead from history because 2015 marks the 200th anniversary of Napoleon's final defeat, the Battle of Waterloo.
Well, on that historical note, it's time to end the program. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget that we are on every day for you. So until next time, take good care. Tschüss and auf Wiedersehen.